folks, Marty Nowicki from Impact Snap, coming to you from the Turning Stone Resort and Casino. Today we're going to talk about how do you move your body like elite athletes. A lot of people say I'm not flexible enough, and we're going to show you a couple of ideas to help you move your body. Basically a piece of PVC inside with just a couple swimmies on the outside, a little padding. Set the driver down, set the impact snap down. We're going to start with this. We're going to put it right behind your back, lock your elbows in. Most people are flexible enough to do that. All right? Now, for starters, when I turn, I want to stay centered. And because I start by being bent forward, three things are going to happen. Number one, I'm going to go into extension right off the bat. Doesn't really look that way because at the same time I'm doing that, I'm tilting to the side and I'm turning. What that's going to do is that's going to get my ribs and it's going to get my pelvis turning and my ribs to turn upward. Okay? I have the luxury of having a light overhead, so I've got a shadow that I can look at just to see how much is my head moving when it goes back. I don't mind the head swiveling just a little bit. Right? Nicholas would do that, but the key here is to get the ribs up into the air. At the same time I'm doing that, you can see I still have some tilt to the side. So when we are tilting to the side, okay, or turning and tilting, I should say, you know, a nice little image is that the butt end of this stick should point about 4 feet or so outside of the golf ball. Okay. If it points a little more, that's okay. What I don't want to see is I don't want to see that pointing down at the golf ball. So this is what that would look like. Here's some side tilt. There's my turn. Okay. Part two of this. Take your dowel or take a club, poke it in the ground, and I want you to practice turning your pelvis back, turning your pelvis forward. And what's really turning in a backswing isn't per se the pelvis. The spine is turning for the sole purpose of moving the pelvis. You've got to remember to let your knees turn with that. Okay? And you'll see that my feet, because my spine is turning, my pelvis is turning, and my knees are turning, you'll see that my feet are actually spinning out a little bit. Turn the pelvis and the knees. When turning, and I've mentioned this in a couple other videos, when turning, make sure that the knees are doing a few things. Number one, staying bent. Number two, staying level. Now, in a backswing, they're not, at the top of the swing, they're not going to be level, but the first part of the downswing, we should try and accomplish them being level. That's going to take some pressure off your back. Now, when you're doing this, the third rule, we said they're bent, they're level. The third rule is that they stay the same distance from each other or they actually increase that distance. So at the top of the swing, you can see the knees aren't going to be level, but in starting the transition down, the knees will actually level out, okay? 3 simple rules we've said for turning, that the knees stay bent, they stay level, and then the third, if I just track the inside part of my kneecaps, and I'm turning forward, I want to maintain that distance or increase that distance. If I increase that distance, now I've got pressure both here and here that I'm using to push out of the ground. Okay? If for whatever reason my pelvis shifts over too much, well, now I've only got the pushing power of one leg. There are players that do that, and that's okay because people do play good golf that way. However, it seems to me that the longest hitters are the ones that keep their pelvis really right between their feet the longest and then push off as they're hitting the ball. Okay, a couple of other ideas that I have for people that aren't flexible enough. Just put a bar stool or bar chair here. I've got carpet sliders right here. I'm going to put them on the ground and I'm going to grab hold of that bar stool. And I want people to practice getting their feet femurs to actually move. And I'll get them both working like windshield wipers, and then I'll have people go the opposite way so they can start to feel internal and external rotation. Now, why is that so important? Because going through impact, we want the wrist to be stable. Well, if I swing this impact snap forward and I'm in great impact position, if my knees and my pelvis aren't moving, well then I know at higher speeds, these arms are going to start to collapse. So if I just swing the driver through without any movement of my knees or feet, well I know I'm going to flip and roll somewhere out here, and most people aren't capable of doing that, so they're going to break down completely and their elbow's going to bend. So in order to maintain this lowercase y the longest, I need the feet and the femurs to move. Simple little drill, take an iron or a driver in my case, put it between your legs, hook behind your lead knee, and learn to use that as a crank. So I'm cranking my backswing. Two things that are going to happen. The back hip will turn inward and behind you, and the left knee and femur will turn in front of you. Now my pelvis is turning. If you have the luxury of watching the sun shine a shadow down, or in my case I have a light above me, just make sure that your head isn't moving back with that. Because if the spine stays flexed forward, well your arm can only get to here until you take your spine and actually go into extension. But the feeling I want here is that my left leg is actually cranking that around. If the foot repositions itself, or if it's too square, expect for the foot to spin out. So I just like to angle it in to begin with. Heel come off the ground. I'm going to take the left side of my pelvis, the left femur, and actually crank that around. Again, here are my level knees. Now I can push off to go through the shot. What's important about that is that's how we maintain a real solid, stable impact at impact and into post-impact. I'm Marty Nowicki for Impact Snap, coming to you from the Turning Stone Resort and Casino. Thank you for watching. Please hit the subscribe button down below. Click the bell notification so that you will get notices every time we put out a new video. Please leave your comments down below. That helps us to create more content for you.